John Lennon and Ringo Starr, moments after the Beatles breakup. John Lennon and Ringo Starr at Apple Records office in Savile Row, London, 1970. Ringo Starr, John Lennon, and Yoko Ono at EMI Studio, October 1970. John Lennon and Ringo Starr at Sunset Sound Recorders, recording I'm the Greatest, with producer Richard Perry and George Harrison. March 12, 1973. It is during this session that the 3X Beatles record 10 versions of John Lennon's I Am the Greatest. Their session lasts approximately 18 minutes. The album's producer, Richard Perry, recalls, "Just like that, no planning. The 3X Beatles recorded one of John's songs. Everyone in the room was just gleaming. It's such a universal gleam with the Beatles." Barbra Streisand with John Lennon, Yoko Ono, and Ringo Starr. John was a romantic. He said one of his and Yoko's favorite movies was The Way We Were. The first time three former Beatles were seen together in public after the Beatles split was on April 7, 1973, at a fundraiser in Beverly Hills, California. Summer of 1974, recording studio for Ringo's Goodnight Vienna. Once again, John Lennon recorded a demo vocal version of the track he had written. Lennon also recorded a demo vocal for Only You for Ringo to sing over. Ringo Starr kept his impressive run of solo success going with the release on November 15, 1974, of the Goodnight Vienna album. Unlike the previous album, two of the Beatles didn't pitch in. Harrison wasn't around, presumably because earlier in the year he had confessed to his affair with Ringo's wife Maureen. And McCartney wasn't around because he was taking it easy after the success of Band on the Run. John Lennon, Ringo Starr, and Tony King at the Capitol Tower, September 20th, 1974, as Tony was being relocated from London to Los Angeles to represent Apple Records. John Lennon and Ringo Starr arrive at On the Rocks in 1976 to see Bob Marley. Brad Elterman, professional photographer, said, "I almost shit my pants when I took this photo." In 1976, my good friend Michelle Meyer worked the guest list for the club, and she called me with a tip-off that Ringo was on the guest list for the Bob Marley and the Wailers. Showcased that evening at the Roxy. I remember it like yesterday when the call came down. Brad Elterman, Ringo Starr is on the guest list for the Bob Marley dog dance this evening. Be there or be square. As you can see in this rare photograph, Ringo did show up, and he brought some friends, John Lennon and Yoko. I was pumped up for days on this encounter. John Lennon and Yoko Ono hanging out in New York with Ringo Starr and his girlfriend Nancy Andrews in 1977. The last known photo of John Lennon and Ringo Starr, taken at the Dakota, the 29th of May, 1979. Beatles drummer Ringo Starr was the last member of the group to see John Lennon alive. Their last encounter was during November 15, 1980, 3 weeks before his bandmate's death. John and Yoko visited Ringo at the Plaza Hotel in New York and stayed for 5 hours catching up.